Howdy YouTube, and welcome to this episode of the Gunman. So today we're going to be doing the roof on my own little Corolla in gloss black. I'll be taking you guys through all the major steps included in getting this job done in detail. As always, I'll probably be breaking this video up into 4 or 5 videos, and there'll probably even be more videos than that to follow, because this is my own car and I've actually been doing quite a lot of work on it lately and having a lot of fun on it recently too. So there was a few reasons why I decided to go gloss black on the roof. I'll get more into detail on them later on, but for now we'll just smash through all the prep work with little snippets of each stage, and then once we're in the booth I'll get a bit more into detail as why I decided to do this and what led up to me doing this job. So I started off by removing the door tape. You may have noticed that. Obviously I did cover up the cabin of the vehicle itself. We don't want to go and get dust and double-sided tape and the rubber wheel dust all through the vehicle. Obviously we also wanted to mask up the surrounding trims and panels so that we don't hit it when we're doing our prep work. So I'm spraying this job here in solvent-based base coat, and 600 grit is fine. To be honest, it's actually fine with water base as well. Now I'm showing you guys the packet of this sandpaper here because it is some pretty awesome stuff. It's relatively new on the market. It's a 3M product, obviously. They're called grippy sanding cloths. Now they're available, I've actually heard they're available from 320 grit all the way up to 2000 grit, and I heard there's actually like a block that goes with them as well. But to be honest, all I've used is these 1000 grit pads, and they are amazing. Like, I did 10 blends with one of these pads, so yeah, they're really good, and they do like a really good job at getting all the shiny spots. Like, if I was to do this job here with Scotch-Brite, your standard old grey Scotch-Brite or something like that, I probably would have gone through 2 or 3 of those grey Scotch-Brite pads, whereas I used one of those grippy pads and it's still going. I was still able to go on and finish the rest of the job off with it, but it also gets into all those little nooks and crannies really well, and it gets all of the shiny spots really well. So as I say, like, I do highly recommend these things. Yeah, if you can get your hands on them, at least give them a shot. Now look, to be honest, they're not cheap. I think a box comes in at around like $40, $35 or $40, rings a bell. But yeah, I think they said they were like $2 each. But so look, honestly, I think that they're actually quite cost effective. If you did like a cost comparison from them, like you figured out how many panels you got done with them compared to how many panels you got done with the other things. Yeah, the other ones might be cheaper, but you might get like 1/10 of the amount of panels done with them. So again, it's one of those things, like if you work in one of those shops where the apprentices just use them once and turf them on the floor, might not be worth getting them, or don't even let them use them, you know. But yeah, moving on with the job, I thought I would make a quick mention to making a bit of a plan before you just go and rip into your car and just start getting the sander out. Oh yeah, we're gonna just go and paint the roof. Think about it, and I mean that in all honesty. Like, I spent days, I mean, I didn't like sit down and think about it all day, but I did spend the entire week leading up to this job, this day here. So this was a Saturday actually that I did this job here. It was a massive Saturday, mind you. But yeah, I spent the entire week leading up to it, planning it, thinking about it, thinking, well, should I, because look, this job from start to finish includes painting all the door frames, the front and rear bumpers. So I did the blackouts and deleted all the chrome, and I did the wheels as well. So it was quite a big job, and that, like, if you don't plan that day out, that's just not going to happen. It's as simple as that. If you're just going like, yeah, I'm just going to get this all done in one day, yeah, you'd probably be out for a 14 or 15 hour day if you don't plan accordingly. So the biggest thing I had to think about was, should I do the parts or the body first? So should I do the bolt-on parts, the wheels and the trims and the mirrors, should I do them first, or should I do the body first? And it took me a bit of thinking to decide this was going to be the best, quickest and most efficient way to get it done. And lots of things do come into play, like the conditions that you're working in, what products you're using, and all those kind of things. The workshop, the quirks of the spray booth. Yes, those little things do come into play when planning out your day. So look, a lot of the time I get people asking questions, and there's really not always like a one-size-fits-all answer for spray painting. I think that's part of the reason why my videos are quite successful, is that I do go into depth in a lot of the aspects of spray painting, because it really isn't just as simple as, well, grab this spray gun. No, there's lots of other things that will come into play. Now the base coat and clear coat that I'm using on this job are actually quartz. So Spray Guns Direct sent out like half a pallet of liquid paint for me a couple of years ago to do reviews on. They sent out some liquid glass, they sent out some quartz crystal clear, which is actually what the clear that I'm going to be using on this job here. They sent out like a 1 litre tin of black. They sent out, yeah, quite a few different, a bit of their range, you know. So Quartz is actually Spray Guns Direct's own brand. It's all made in Germany, so it's good quality stuff, as you would imagine, from the German engineers. But that aside, the reason I did mention the products that I was using in detail is the fact that the clear coat that I had only had a fast hardener with it. So that's all I had. So when I ordered it, it was a couple of years ago, to be honest, and I'm like, yeah, just give me fast hardener. It was actually the middle of winter. And then when I got to the end of the products, I'm like, yeah, I'm using all this product on my boss's jobs, like on the work cars, you know, the insurance work. So I'm like, man, I'm going to keep this for in case I do my own car. So that's why I kept that 1 can of crystal clear. I kept that liter of black. And the crystal clear only had a fast hardener with it. So the reason I went into all that detail about the products is because it does actually change the way that you go about the job. So because all I had was fast hardener for the clear, I really wanted to just get the body in and get that clear coat down before the day did warm up too much. Now, as it turned out, it wasn't even until, I think it was, 12:30, like midday, that I actually got the clear coat down and finished on the body of this vehicle, so on the roof. So from memory, I got into work on this day at like, it must have been 5 a.m. Like I woke up at 4:30 and I'm like, man, my eyes are open and I've got one hell of a job to do there. I'm just gonna go into work. So I think I was at work at like 5 o'clock. I think I left at like 4:30. So it was nearly like a full 12-hour day. So to get all this entire job done, I must admit I was pretty impressed with myself. But that aside, yeah, so I got the clear coat down at 12:30. It was about 32 or 33 degrees, which really isn't ideal for spraying fast hardener, you know, but hey, I made it work. A couple of things I did to help me was to put some slow reducer in it, and I also put a little bit of slow hardener, but from the standoff. So it's something that I really don't recommend, and nobody really would recommend it, but I use like, so this is a 2-to-1 clear coat that I'm using, which is the Quartz Crystal Clear, as I mentioned earlier. So it's a 2-to-1 clear, and I used, look, I didn't do it 100% because you're sort of on your own, you're outside of the recommendations anyway. So it was like about 80-85% of the quartz hardener, and then I put like 15% to add to the last little bit of hardener, but I was using slow Standox hardener from my boss. So we use Standox Clear at work, and I just used a little bit of his slow just to help slow it down a little bit, and I used a little bit of slow reducer as well. So as I say, it's not something that anyone would really recommend, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. I didn't want to go and pay for more clear coat. I also wanted to give this clear coat a try on my own vehicle. So leading up to this job here, I had actually used this clear coat on a couple of jobs. So I've got these friends over here in Western Australia where I live, and they said, hey, I want you to paint my car before you go back to Melbourne, which I'm doing next year. I'm actually moving back to Victoria, and I sprayed their cars in this Quartz Crystal Clear, and yeah, I was really impressed with it. So I really did want to use it on my own car and see how it holds up over time. And as it turns out, I didn't even want to buff this job, and all I ended up buffing so far as it sits at the moment, as of me making this video, all I've done is flattened out the black lines on the quarter panel. So you may have noticed that I was just unmasking the masking line for the black, and then I've sort of staggered that down a little bit, and I'm putting the clear coat down to the next swage line, the next body line, so that I've got a nice amount of clear coat build up there so that we can buff into it. And that's another thing I've actually been having a lot of fun doing lately, is the cleanliness on my car. And it's a bit ironic and funny in the way, because I used to like have a bit of a joke at detailers' expenses, but look, and I'm not a detailer, but I've actually been having fun doing detailing, albeit on my own car. I'm not quite sure I'd like to do it for a living on other people's car, but part of the reason I do mention that is that this Quartz Crystal Clear is hard as a rock. It is scratch resistant clear, so I guess it's what you would probably refer to as a ceramic clear. Some people call it like a ceramic clear. and it is absolutely hard as a rock. So it's one of those things that you really want to get it off the gun. You don't want to be doing any more than like 1 or 2 nibs per panel. That would be just like maximum. You don't want heavy orange peel in it. You don't want to be buffing the whole thing flat. Forget about it. And if you do, look, I would say that 3000 is not even fine enough. Look, I've never used the 5000 and 8000. I actually had a few of those pads, and they just sat in my toolbox for years, and I never ended up using them because I just didn't see any use for them. But now that I've used this clear coat, if I was to ever do a respray and someone wanted me to use this clear, I would definitely go, you know, like D-nib, 2000, 3000, 5000, 8000, and then you would start buffing, because this stuff is hard as a rock. So yeah, like it's a great clear, don't get me wrong, it's a high gloss, it does go on really nice, but it, like when you first use this clear coat, it comes out of the can like glue, man. It is so thick. It's like, I don't know, maybe it's just me coming from the Standox standing clear that I usually use, which is a pretty thin clear. Going to this stuff, it is just so thick, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm loving it. And you know, something actually funny happened. Like, I was a bit on robot mode because it was a big day, as I told you guys before. So when I came to putting the second coat of clear down, so I actually ran out of clear halfway, ran out of clear after the first coat, so I went out and mixed some more up. And when I mixed some more up, I must have forgot to put any reducer in it at all. And I realized that after I started spraying, I'm like, oh man, I didn't put any reducer in that. And I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna go with it. I didn't even stop. I'm just like, no, I'm gonna go slow and I'm just gonna smash it on. And I thought, you know what, the upside is that we're gonna have a big film build, like a nice amount of paint to buff into over the years. But to be honest, on the other hand, I don't think I'm really gonna need to do much buffing on this roof over the years, because I've got it so clean off the gun, and I'm actually now the kind of guy that loves, I dead set have a great time waxing and ceramic coating and just keeping my car clean, nice and clean, and in like the paint in really good order, you know what I mean? So I've got some ceramic coatings which I like to apply, and then what I do over the top of that is put like an SiO2 layer, so it's like a bit of a stack, and it's sort of like sunscreen. That's the way I look at it. It's like sunscreen for your clear coat. So what you can see here is that big thick line. I actually loaded like 4 coats over that line, so you can see that it did actually start running a little bit off that line. It's all good, I got nothing to hide. I'll actually do another video on how I remove that that run, and also the paint line, the black paint line. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching part 1 on the transformation of my little Corolla. So the next video is going to be doing the wheels and the window frames, and we're going to do the chrome delete and all that kind of stuff. So stick around for that. Be sure to subscribe if you're not already. We'll do a quick before and after photo here. So yeah, that was one hell of a weekend. I actually did start it like some of the job on the Friday, so I came in early to work on Friday, and I just started pulling some of the parts off, like obviously not my mirrors, not the things that I still needed on the car. And then on the Sunday, I put the rest of the parts on. So this video here that you see at the very end here, this is all off the gun, unbuffed, and that was where I got to on the Sunday afternoon. So that was pretty good. I was pretty impressed with myself, and what a hell of a transformation. So all the scuttle panel there, all the window wipers went full gloss black, all the door frames, and yeah, the chrome bits at the front and the back, and yeah, one hell of a job, one hell of a weekend. And look at that. I don't know, I'm just wrapped with it. I mean, I know some will say, oh, it's just a Corolla, man, but hey, it's my Corolla, mate. And there's another little thing that I did, another little bit of attention to detail. Those little moldings up the top of the roof had gone all grey, and I just used a little bit of 1K aerosol gloss black. Just a cheap aerosol can from Super Cheap Auto, and yeah, the way I see it, if it starts flaking off, we'll just get a thinner's rag and wipe it off. So if I had have gone 2-pack clear over base, then the clear coat would be peeling and it would just get a little bit messy. So yeah, another little bit of attention to detail. And just a quick update on those spray suits. We've had a further delay, and we're expecting more stock to be in February. So yeah, I do apologize to everyone who's been waiting for them, but as it turns out, it's a lockdown related thing. So the workshop where they get made was locked down. I think it's in Sri Lanka or something like that. So there's not really much we can do to speed it up, but yeah, hopefully they'll be available by February 2020. So if you're watching after Feb 2020, go and see if we've got some in stock yet. I'd like to say a big thanks to everyone for watching, and if you'd like to support the channel further, you're more than welcome to go over and check out some of the merchandise we've got. My personal favourite is those spray suits, so they're a good quality Colad branded spray suit with the Gunman logo on it. There's also hats, drink coolers, hoodies and t-shirts, so be sure to go over and check out the link in the description if you are interested. All that aside, I'd just like to say a big thanks for watching, and that is enough to support the channel. But as I say, if you'd like to go the next step, then be sure to check out some of that merchandise. Thanks for watching, and until next time, get out there and paint some shit. Gunman out.